offer some advice. If you want to be a writer, the secret is to write, 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 and keep writing, he said. Eventually, you'll find other people who want to be writers. You'll trade ideas with them. You'll critique one another's work. Keep writing. When you think you have something of merit, send it out. Chances are the first items you submit won't be accepted, but you can't be discouraged. Keep writing. One day, if you have something of promise to say, somebody somewhere will see it and become excited and help you. It's just that simple, he concluded, and that terribly difficult. I never received better advice. That letter is framed beside my desk, incidentally. Taking a hard look at myself, I realized that desire alone wasn't going to get me anywhere. I needed to learn how to put words and stories together. I finished high school and went to college, amazing myself as much as my high school principal. My mother and stepfather worked in a furniture factory, though, and they didn't have the money for my tuition. To pay it, I had to work summers at god-awful jobs. One involved 12-hour night shifts at a factory that made styrofoam containers. I wore earplugs, goggles, and a mask over my nose and mouth while I shoved leftover chunks of styrofoam into a gigantic grinder that pulverized them. The roar from the grinder, affectionately called the snow machine, could be heard 3 blocks from the factory. I had a summer-long ringing in my ears and was constantly coughing up bits of plastic. But that job was nothing compared to the one I had the next summer at a metal molding factory where I made car fenders. Wearing thick gloves that became shredded by the end of each shift, I would grab a large sheet of metal, shove it into a stamping machine, press a button with my foot, cause a huge weight to come down on the metal, pull out what was now a car fender, and grab another sheet. For safety and to speed the process, my wrists were shackled to the machine so that when the weight came down, it tugged a cable that yanked my hands out of the way. One morning, the factory's personnel manager, who used to call me to his office to have literary discussions, decided to put me on a safer job. An hour later, the worker who had replaced me at the machine lost his hands when the cables failed and didn't pull him free. I mentioned those jobs to emphasize my determination. Now that I knew what I wanted to be, I was prepared to do anything to make it happen. I got through those brutal summers by telling stories to myself while I worked. Although I was inspired by a screenwriter, I couldn't find any universities that offered courses in screenwriting, although these days such courses are everywhere. So I majored in English and American literature. The then small institution I went to, St. Jerome's College at the University of Waterloo in Canada, offered only one fiction writing course. But in retrospect, I'm glad there weren't more, because I'd have attended them all and missed various literature courses. Many of the important lessons I learned about writing fiction came from analyzing great novels. To feed my writing, I realized I needed to read in order to discover how the experts achieved their effects. Meanwhile, I wrote television scripts and sent them to various programs, but the scripts always came swiftly back with a note informing me that unsolicited manuscripts weren't welcome. Translation: get an agent. But how on earth was I supposed to do that when most agents wouldn't accept writers without experience? So I wrote short stories and sent them to various magazines. Those manuscripts always came swiftly back also, accompanied with a form letter announcing something like, "Your story doesn't suit our present needs." Eventually, I was forced to conclude that the odds against earning a living as a writer were terrible, and that a day job would be a good idea. Why not get a graduate degree in American literature, I thought, become a professor, write fiction when I wasn't teaching? I was encouraged that Sterling Siliphant was a novelist as well as a screenwriter, so after applying to a number of doctoral programs, I went to Pennsylvania State University, where I met Philip Klass. His pen name is William Tenn, the first professional writer I'd ever talked to. Klass